Hi, it's Valerie, and I'm back to talk about my August 2020 lifestyle experiment. And if you were one of 3 people who watched my July lifestyle experiment, then it may come as no surprise that it was to take boxing lessons, or I should say, boxing based fitness lessons for everyone who leaves mean comments on videos that don't show people punching each other in the face. I tried boxing because boy, oh boy, do I like boxing-based fitness. Cue the Rocky soundtrack, training montage. Wait, I don't have the rights to that. I have absolutely no footage or cash money to pay royalties on Eye of the Tiger or anything like that. Let me lay down my goals, break down some of the workouts or what I did over the month, and try to answer some questions that I suspect you may have about boxing. So first, my goals. My goals this month were to have fun, because who doesn't need fun? Work out in a way that is not running or riding my bike or roller skating, which are the primary ways that I exercise on my own. But I'm working out by my lonesome. I wanted to learn skills. So I find that exercising makes more sense to me if I'm doing something more motivational, like if I can link it back to an actual activity or something else in my life. I feel more motivated and I seem to make better connections. I suspect it might have to do with something like adult learning theory. I'm not a good winker. Accountability. I wanted to have that accountability of working out with someone else. I pay ahead for the whole month, so I don't like to waste money. So I know that I'll show up, and I know if someone's there waiting for me and watching what I'm doing. I know that I am shame-based and that I don't want to shame myself by not appearing to work out as hard as I can. So I wanted to also feel more confident in my boxing. For when I feel secure enough to go back to group classes, I wanted to have more confidence in being there, that I would understand what the instructor is asking of me and making sure I'm doing things more or less correctly, more correctly, hopefully. And just generally have more confidence in myself. And then finally, I wanted to make progress in terms of knowing what the heck I was doing, knowing the terminology, the checklist of things I like to have in my head to know that I'm doing things correctly, and learn more about the sport itself. So I think that actually might be the same as learn more skills, but we'll group those together. All right. So to give some context about my experience, I committed to a month's worth of training twice a week, 45-minute sessions with the trainer that I had worked with for one-on-one training. She's also the owner of the gym that I had taken group boxing-based fitness classes with before. Teresa, her gym is called Envision Train. So I have some sort of a basis of a relationship with her to begin with, so I felt comfortable doing this. It is a non-fighting boxing gym. That's why I preface this by saying that it is boxing-based fitness training. So you do the movements, you do a lot of hitting bags, and pre-collapse of civilization, you also did work with mitts, but you're not punching anyone in the face, just to make that clear. At least not on purpose. So due to COVID, we don't even do mitts at this point. It's hitting bags or hitting equipment. So I started my first private lesson. Actually, at the end of July, I had talked to Teresa about maybe transitioning into the boxing-based fitness. I know her passion really is with boxing. And actually, I enjoy the boxing a lot more than I enjoyed the one-on-one fitness training, despite giving it a try. So she actually asked, since we had that conversation for my last session in July, if I wanted to switch, and I did. So I started off at that point. It's like any training. I think it's a little bit formulaic in that, you come in, you do some stretching, you do some warm-up, some general hitting on the bag, and then you move on to other things. So we would usually do some heavy bag hitting and then maybe move on to the speed bag, the suspension balls of various sizes and different purposes. I'll insert pictures here if I can find some stock images for some quick hitting and to get some sort of coordination, because when the ball moves a little more, you're having to work a little more on your footwork and moving in and out. So hand-eye coordination, which has never been my strong suit. And then in between, we usually do some conditioning. So things like sit-ups where you punch the bag, flipping a 100-pound heavy bag that's on the ground, and then kind of running around it and flipping it back the other way. Heaving a 40-pound bag up on your shoulder and then throwing it down on the other side, throwing it down. Jump rope, which I have been working on my own and am still not great at, but I'm getting better. Jumping jacks, squats, inchworms, among other things. So, throwing a medicine ball up and over, throwing it at chest height rapidly, throwing it down as hard as you can, those sort of things. Some squats, so forth and so on. We also worked with, I don't know what they're called. They're like a balance board that you stand on to kind of get the rhythm of movements with your feet and your body to work together. As far as the particulars, we just have spent a lot of time on the fundamentals and on form, which has been really, really helpful. As I talked about in July, I really realized how much of kind of my perception, even of myself, as being not very coordinated or not very balanced, had to do with not having proper form, and the form makes a huge difference. So if I haven't emphasized it enough, it is very, 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 very important. So I am not the expert, and if you're looking for an expert, there's probably many other videos that you could Google, but I just want to give you kind of the checklist in my head while I'm boxing for my form, because I kind of am running through that checklist as I'm setting myself up for hits. So let me see if I can show you. Ignore my floor. So your feet are a little more, if you start about shoulder widths apart and then just take a long step forward, this is kind of where you want to be. And if you kind of jiggle up and down, your feet will kind of inch together or inch apart where they need to be. You want your weight to be in the balls of your feet so that you can move easily, push forward or back or side to side as needed. You want your hips to be, your knees to be slightly bent, and your hips, kind of your butt, to be back and out a bit. You want to keep your head tucked, and you want your hands, when it rests, to be by your jaw. Now, I'm holding the camera with my one hand, but if I switch, it goes back here. When you're leading forward, if you are right-handed, it'll be your left leg and your left hand that are a little bit forward, and the right is back here protecting your face. And you're always going to go back to that position. So additionally, kind of the checklist that I have when I'm going into 1-2 to punch is that it's with one hand at a time. So again, you're kind of set up. So if you're right-handed, your right hand is back here, protecting your face. Your left hand is a little bit forward. And as you go into punch, you're gonna go out, and you notice your hand is turning. So, and then your cross, so this guy goes back, same thing, it's turning. When I'm punching, I'm using my core. I'm driving through my legs. Again, because you're in the balls of your feet, your body is turning. So with your shoulder, with your shoulder, your body is twisting so that you're getting power behind it. Rolling your shoulders, and again, you're protecting your face. So whichever hand is not engaged is at your face, protecting it. So those are kind of the basics of what I've been working on. And I realize it doesn't sound like a ton, but it's putting it all together. It's making sure that you're engaging your legs and your core, that your shoulders are rolling, that your feet are pivoting, that your body is moving the whole time, working on movement and stance, and just repetitiously going at it. So, you know, whether you're hitting on the heavy bag or you're doing the speed ball and you're learning your timing on that, how to switch from arm to arm, making sure that, you know, your hand stays up and it's protecting your face when you're hitting, that it's a round motion on that speed bag. I don't have a lot more footage for you, but that's kind of what we've been focused on. So common questions, or at least the ones that I had when I got started, that if I can answer them for you, I'd like to do so. If I can encourage anyone else to take this step and try something like this. What do you need to start boxing classes in terms of equipment? Well, one of the great things is if you are going to work at a boxing gym or box, I don't know, what do they call these things? They're probably going to have most of the equipment for you. The heavy bags, the speed bags, the suspension bags, the equipment like that. Since the start of Rona, my gym requires that I have my own wraps and gloves. I don't have a ton of experience using a lot of different brands, but I'll just tell you the wraps for your hands, the ones that I use are called Contender. Contender Fight Sports, and they're pretty basic. They were less than $10. The gloves that I have are Title gloves. They're not fancy. I again bought them used from my gym for like $10. Before Corona, when I was planning on buying my own, Venom was the brand that my trainer recommended, but I didn't end up going there. Other than that, comfortable clothes to work out in. I'm a sweaty beast at the end, so I wear athletic wear. Good sports bra if you wear one, a high impact one, because you're moving around a lot, bouncing around a lot. Leggings, I like a high neck tank or something, so again, because things are moving around. Socks, and I'd recommend a thinner soled comfortable sneaker. I have much thicker soled sneakers that I use for running and, you know, hiking and all of those sort of things. I like to be able to kind of feel the floor. So I'd recommend maybe something more like a cross trainer. What do words mean? Is that a question? In terms of words like the lingo or terminology, because that's something that kind of tripped me up getting started, where, you know, if I was in a group setting and they would encourage you to do a certain set of combinations, and a combination is just a sequence of punches that you're throwing with no stopping in between. So the basic punches, A jab is a quick punch that's thrown with the lead hand. So for me, that is my left hand because I am right dominant. And it's just a quick punch. It doesn't have the full weight of you behind it because it's kind of the lead in. And sometimes said is thrown as a setup. Now, the opposite of that is a cross. So we have, you know, jab, cross, and a cross is more of a power punch thrown with the rear hand, and it travels across your body. And so your body is moving, twisting, you're up on your ball of your foot, twisting to put your weight and your oomph behind a cross. A hook is a shorter sideways punch, or almost like a semicircular punch. Nope. Like this. Delivered with the elbow bent. And that, if you think about like slamming a door, it's meant to kind of get through the defenses. And if you were hitting a person, it would be like in the side of the face. Finally, then we have an uppercut, and that's a punch that's thrown not from there, but it would be you tuck your down and it's coming up. It's an upward motion with the idea of hitting someone on the chin, kind of straight up the center. And as I mentioned, a combination is a sequence of those punches thrown right after one another. Final question that you might have is, what can I do to work towards boxing if I don't have access to a boxing gym right now? And the good news is you can watch Rocky a lot. Never a bad move. Can't hurt. But seriously, there are a lot of great boxing videos out there on the YouTubes. I would just look up like boxing for beginners. I watched some videos by Carrie Williams because I was interested in sort of a female boxer's perspective. You can also look up like training for boxing. Just working on overall conditioning, I think, is a great place to start. Jumping rope, which is not easy. If you have not jumped rope since you were a child, I don't know. It's not easy. It's jumping. So I've been working on that. It's getting better, but it's hard. Jumping jacks, sit-ups, squats, box jumps or step-ups, lifting heavy things over one shoulder and throwing them down. You can draw yourself a little agility ladder on the sidewalk or on the driveway, and run it in different combinations to work on your footwork. You can throw a ball over your head. If you only have a basketball, whatever ball you have, throwing it at chest height, throw it down at the ground as hard as you can over and over. Really anything core-based I think is a great idea. Running certainly can't help in terms of your overall conditioning and endurance. Yeah, so those would be my recommendations. Anything else that I think you'd really want to know? If you don't know how to wrap your hands, there's a million videos, and I watched a million different ones when I got started. And then I came to realize that everybody kind of does it their own way, and that's fine. As long as you can move your hand, you're not cutting off circulation, and you're protecting your hand, like nothing hurts when you're boxing, you're fine. You're doing it good. So this has this side down, mine has a loop. So I start out just kind of wrapping it around my hands, my broken finger. And I do that a couple times. I go down over my wrist and then back up through, and then I just go through each finger once. That's what my trainer told me. I have seen videos that recommend other things. Back down and around, over the thumb, around it, And periodically, just make sure you can still move your fingers. You're not doing this so tight that you're cutting off circulation. Back down around the wrist. And then, of course, the main part of where you want to wrap is here, your knuckles, so that you're not screwing those up when you're punching things with them. And then you want to leave enough so that you can go around your wrist a few times. And if you're like me, that at some point you turned it, just turn it back around so the Velcro is out. And there we are. So I've got most of the padding here and the hand sleeve. I mean, it's gonna most of the time go in a glove. I don't know how everybody does it. I do some of the things with the suspension ball and the speed bag without my gloves on because I have better accuracy that way, but a lot of the time if you're hitting the heavy bag, your glove's just sitting on it, over top it, but good things to know. So personally, my outcomes from the month, did I accomplish the goals I set forth? Yes, I had fun. Yes, I worked out in a way that isn't running, biking, or roller skating. Low bar there, but yes, I did it. Yes, I was accountable to another human being. For sure. Yes, I was. Did I learn skills? Yes, I did make progression in terms of knowing what the heck I was doing. I have a better grasp on terminology, kind of putting things together and understanding like, hey, a hook is to get through the other person's defenses and slam them in the side of face or whatever as needed, even if I never do that. Knowing kind of what the intention is helps me grasp better what I'm trying to do when I'm hitting the bag or whatever. I have my checklist of things, which is very helpful for me to run through on my stance. I learned more about sports. I jokingly say to Teresa that I forget everything in between sessions, but she reminds me that she's reminding me of less and less each time, which I do think is true. I can kind of process what's happening faster. I've made progress in terms of finding the rhythm and count on the speed bag, that I can kind of switch back and forth arms when I'm doing it. Having better hand-to-eye coordination on the suspension balls, that feels really good when you start to hear the thwack noise, which you come to know is the correct noise that it's supposed to be making. That's a really good feeling. I have more coordination moving between combinations, and I'm getting better as far as putting my body and my power into my hits. Feeling more confident by boxing. Yes, whenever I'm prepared to go back to the group classes, I feel better prepared to do that. I really see the boxing is an esteemable act to me, both the dedication to doing it, what I'm learning, and feeling better about the progress that I'm making. I feel more comfortable in this space and speaking up for myself. Having one-on-one focus of a professional, I think, is really helpful in making definite progress. So overall, I think it's been a really positive experience. I'd recommend Envision, boxing-based fitness training, and just in general, finding movement that you love and enjoy. I'm going to keep boxing financially, or boxing-based fitness. Financially, I don't know that it'll work out for me to do one-on-one long-term, but I hope to be less freaked out by group settings in the near future. So that's it. Do you box? What do you think of it? Have any questions that I can answer if you're considering starting boxing? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this useful, give me a like. It would help my channel, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content. Thanks for watching.